And we are live. Hello and welcome to Three Amigos, Ink and Splatters Open Mic Poetry Night. I am your host, Alicia Hodge. Marie Moldovan is unable to join us tonight. We do have some awesome readers here, though. We have Lucas Allen, Charles Edward York, and Max Myers. And then I have a few poets that I will be reading work from at the end. So, Lucas, let's get started with you. You have a new book out. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks everybody. My name is Lucas Alandici, calling from Mankato, Minnesota. A local poet here, and I call myself the poet laureate of ghost towns, like zombies and the undead and Halloween. We have an obligation to kind of connect and acknowledge that the conflict and everything within ourselves and technology and everything. But Halloween is my favorite season. I am a Halloween baby, birthday in a couple of days, and so I've published quite a number of books, novels, and poetry. Kind of going by this genre I like to call Angst und Sorge. It's a German term called pretty much worry and anxiety. So back in 2012, 2013, with The Walking Dead and other shows and movies, there's this huge interest and obsession with zombies. In fact, when I was working in a cheese factory, we spent all day. How would we deal with the zombie apocalypse? Some would go and go after the zombies. Some would form little communes. For me, as like a sociologist and a poet, I decided, and a radical activist, I decided to write like my own version of events. So much that people have called me, quote, a zombie poser, because I don't watch a lot of zombie movies or read a lot of zombie books. I'm going to be a poser. I just write books. So Commies and Zombies came out, and it is a very eclectic read. It takes place, it's like a couple parts in it. Kind of describes kind of the beginning of a zombie apocalypse, and then kind of highlights this group of folks living in northern Wisconsin at a commune and kind of forming a camp to kind of deal with the zombie crisis and think about days in the troubles, as I call them, kind of going with the what Ireland suffered through, and towards the time which I call the new economy, like a post zombie apocalypse. And now it's so funny that, like, it's not fun, obviously it's horrible. COVID's happening, and the Facebook happening broke down. So we try to question, what it means to be connected to this device, what it means to like have to check a notification, text people. I admit I at it sometimes. I have to click it off and everything will be fine. So I'm gonna just kind of go through the book, and it is on Amazon. I did go through an independent publisher, which it just made it easier, unfortunately, in Bezos's world to be available to people for it. So I am going to read just the beginning of it. And I open it with the part of Lewis Carroll's Jabberwocky poem. And then I'll read like maybe a paragraph or so, and then I'll read some side poems because I love Halloween. So it opens up with a poem from the Jabberwocky, to his brillig, and the slively toves did guile and gimble in the wabe. all mimsy, where the boro grows and the momium ras outgrabe. So like it kind of gets you in this like frame of mind of like, I mean, it's all nonsense, but like if you listen to it, it's obviously telling a story of demons and getting you in this frightful, like monsterish move. I even like when I read it, when I recite it, I kind of like do this and like clawing accent or clawing fingers or whatever. But I'll just kind of read what's on screen. It's like the first paragraph. Zombies grab our attention along the street. They are creepy and barking all like beeping dial up computers. They make their way around to fulfill their basic purpose, that is, to reproduce by passing the Zombo gene by fluids. What we humans confuse as Zombos ravaging human flesh is really Zombos asexually reproducing. So I throw in some slang in it, zombos. I kind of create my own heuristics and language, um, because each culture, each mini culture, each subculture has its own everything. You know, between people, they have their own like commonality of language and everything. So the second paragraph is humans have seen comrades and families zombified. It takes certain taboo to put down one's own family upon zombification. It takes a process of letting go. If one has to shoot down one's family and or comrade like a rabid horse. So I'm just kind of like bringing someone in. I'm kind of talking about like things are happening, and there's a lot of stuff about like how to kill the zombies, which that's the poserists said that, well, you can't. I mean, they're zombies. I mean, so like I can make up whatever I want. That's great about literature. You don't have to. So like, and then like,
Yes.
so like there's what's that?
Oh, I said
So
yes. That is great about
yeah,
it.
so you can do whatever you want. You can create your own rules and you can create your own verbs and nouns and the verbs. Like, don't let people tell you. And so like the second part is kind of a like it's an interaction between one person's computer, talking with the computer. So it's obviously I pick on folks kind of into their computers and phones and talk about zombification, and then I kind of slowly get into what's going on with the commune, and they're pretty much just hipsters trying to get along, having snow fights and stuff, and I won't tell the rest because and um, my younger brother read it, and he said that I was pretty much illiterate because I was going against a lot of like rules of writing, and I never pretend to be a literature dork. I just write books. So it is Commies and Zombies. It is relatively cheap, but yeah, I would definitely check it out. And if it's not for you, that's totally okay. There's a lot of good, interesting stuff in it. So check it out. So for the next couple minutes, I'll read some of my favorite poems written for Halloween. Like the Jabberwocky, Lewis Carroll is one of my favorite poets, and so like I've always identified with the Mad Hatter, because I'm also a member of the Schizotypo Poets and Writers group. I've actually performed the Jabberwocky from memory, wearing Mad Hatter costume, and everyone just is like, "Yeah, you're definitely it." That's, I guess, a compliment. So the one time I had a dream that had rain, and so this is kind of the poem that came out of that dream. It's called Hatter and Rain. Hands clasped behind spine and black frock coat, head bent down, thoughts stacked inside, as a hatter in the rain. I was not madly laughing because of my fate. It was slow murmur along the stone alleyway. I was a hatter in the rain. closed flowers, bushes, ferns, heavy from the wet water mercury, and hatter in the rain. Alongside my walk, old friends again, river of childhood splashed, moonless, cloudy, sneeze shade, with a hatter in the rain. My felt hat loaded with such ambivalence, your kiss soaked into my brain, will make me grow a field of memories, walking as a hatter in the rain. Thank you, puppy. Um, the last poem is called Mr. Halloween Man. And this kind of was created out of a kind of a friendship fight with friends that wanted to go as like they wanted to go as a group Halloween group for a contest, and I despise a lot of contests, so I want to go as something else. And they ended up doing one thing, I ended up doing one thing, it ruined my Halloween, and I love Halloween. And the dogs know it. It is definitely the Halloween season. So, home is Mr. Halloween Man. Acrylic shirt, mouse rat bitten, to cover the straw ribs. Gloves without hands could not give fight to the mob that strung him up with barn twine on a pole that took his gender away.
Oh, you're cutting out just a little
Shotgun
bit.
shells into him. Pumpkin face and county-sized fragments for the stream. Sized fragments for the streets and crows, gorged out of his smiling laugh while his gourd rot with the wet farm corn. He was just a Halloween man, namesake dead, and he is no longer my best friend. So I hope you got some of that, the Halloween man, circling back to the commies and zombies reading. And yeah, I'm very happy to be on here, and thank you everybody, and I look forward to future events. So please check out the book, and I'll put in my my blog contact info or whatever in the chat.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Those were great pieces, and I'm really glad that you were able to come on tonight. And yeah, your book sounds awesome. Very excited about it. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Charles Edward York. Charles is an author and poet activist living in Ontario, Oregon. He's written over 1,100 poems and published 14 books of poetry. Born in Vietnam and raised a citizen in Dallas, Texas, he writes poems that include the subjects of love and relationships, nature, social justice, including police violence against African Americans and minorities, astronomy, and others. Hi, Charles. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, how are you? Doing good. How about you?
Good, thank you. All right. Well,
that's an awesome introduction. Thank you.
Oh, for sure. Thank you for joining us. I'm excited to hear what you have to read tonight. I'll just go ahead and give you the floor.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say real quick, my latest book, the 15th book of poems that I've written, is this book right here. It's called Among Angels. And I just published this actually about a couple months ago. So it's available on Amazon.com. That's called Among Angels, and it's got over 160 some odd poems. And I'm going to read 3 poems from the over 1,100 poems that I've written. This one is sort of a la William Stafford, and I wrote about my beginning experience after I moved here to Ontario, Oregon. This is called Evergreen Days Reversed. And it says, I listened to the Oregon trees, speaking in green tales, whispering memories, trails blazed with yesterdays, chorus of leaves, trunks with wrinkled grooves, imitating roads left by wagon wheels, yearning for new life, fresh emerald revivals, stroked by light and rain, echo with repeating fractals, embracing the endless sky, while invisible arms grow strong and deep, taking root in virgin soil. Across the Oregon landscape, I replant my story, while verdant integrations paint a scenery of discovery, redecorating my atmosphere for renewing rains to fall. In viridescent dreams, nature and redemption marries you and me. We combine together, complementary creations, making our own tree, united, branching outward, growing in constant devotion. We compose our new forever, evergreen days reversed. Okay, the second poem I'm going to read. This poem is called The Killing Room. In the killing room, there's a bed for the kind of sleep they force on you, for doing the biggest wrong, for taking life away, for being black, sometimes for being blamed when you've done nothing against the law. The killing room has windows with blood, for watching humans strapped down and poisoned, forced into veins, making air disappear, to make eyes close, for taking breath away. A life for a life spells two deaths. As the person becomes pale in our darkness, the long walk at an end, memories flashing by. A smirk hides satisfaction. A family weeps. A death deters nothing except mercy in the killing room. Okay, and the last poem I'm going to read. This is a poem that I sort of wrote to honor Charles Bukowski, one of my favorite poets. This is actually taken from an interview that he gave on a documentary, and this is called Write Your Verse Out Loud. When defeat beats the crap out of you over and over again, you avoid any pretense and nonsense about meaning. You say what you really mean. You abandon the futility of insanity, of pain without reason, and let the bandages fall so blood can write the hurt away. You stop whitewashing reality and bare your soul naked and not ashamed. When poverty doubles down on you, taste becomes a lost luxury only the wealthy can afford. Bitterness and fatigue overwhelm the will of tired feet, and hands so heavy wear out from use. Sacrifices speak of delays, satisfaction put aside to pursue, and emptiness ensues without end. Suddenly, silence becomes a sanctuary and an oasis where letting go sets you free. When you stop giving a damn about it, approval and conformity lose their appeal in favor of solitude. Owning personal authority relives the tension outsiders bring with false boundaries and words. You begin to see reality is a recipe you make your own way, and the universe awaits your prose. Your life pens your own story, free of quiet regret and apology. So write your verse out loud. And that's it.
Well, thank you, Charles. That last one was very moving. The whole read was great. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And we hope to have you again sometime.
Okay, I would love that.
Awesome. I would too. Thank you. Okay, and next up is Max Myers, a Sacramento, California resident for some years. Inspired to write by a world of natural beauty, loving friendships, and the magical and mystical spiritual relationship between all things. Max has been writing poetry and short essays for the last 60 years, a self-taught poet-writer. He is an artist, musician, beekeeper who has traveled around this beautiful country, seeing the profoundly impressive and magical sights and spending time meeting the wonderful people who make up the color and flavor of America. There is so much to observe and document, and as Walt Whitman said, one discovers the song of thyself. Max has self-published several books, which are available on Amazon Books or Google Max Myers Books. And I recently received one of those books. I was so excited. It's beautiful, Max.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us again tonight.
Oh, thanks for having me again. The prior two readers didn't utilize a 15-minute space where I kind of I have quite a bit tonight, so maybe
Well, no problem.
okay. So
Oh,
I'll get started. These um, these poems I published a number of years ago, but I ran across the document that they were in and decided to pull a few of them for the show tonight. So the first poem is called I've a Reason. I've a reason to believe, a notion long considered, an optimistic overview, one that has well wintered, a reason clad in gentle terms, still rooted to the earth, much as a gemstone in the rough, a stone of untold worth. Yes, I've a reason to believe, and to this I'm true. Fortune smiled with grace towards me. The reason, love, is you. Next one is called Night. The gray wing of dusk has long settled the accounts of the day. Night has descended, and near silence envelops below. Only the gentle surfing of the breeze in the treetops remains, luring to a calming rest those who by daylight toil. And the next poem here is called Old Age.
Mm.
Of all the people who really knew me, all of the people who really knew me are dead. They carried with them memories, expressions of my life. Those things of me I have forgotten or didn't notice went to their graves. And now, alone with my old age, who am I? How will I be remembered? When I pass my failing flesh back to the dust from which I came, and my children are asked by their children, what was Grandpa about? How will they answer? Old age from one's time quietly slips into the next generation, another one's time. Generations from one to the other arrive with flourish and flare, all the while assuming the details are well kept and memories carefully noted, preserved for the ones who might care to ask. This life, as fragile as a rose and short as a firefly's flash, makes its momentary mark in time, then leaves no more to remedy than memory defined. Next poem is called Allowed to Dream. I watch the clouds and for a time ascend where angels dream in wordlessness. Soft and billowy clouds, silver edged or wispy white, evolving and dissolving, mountains of the sky. Being allowed to dream, a gift from God, I too, among the clouds, wear angelic threads. Next poem is called Rain. So gently, softly falling, now as a humble guest abides, while in this dark night sleeping creatures dream. Love's touch all around embraces bedside silence, with angels watching over as it gently, softly rains. Next one is called Summation. Summation. Did drive past a home in the countryside, old with faded paint, broken fence, which bore a sign. It read estate sale, hastily written upon cardboard, propped up at the roadside. There on a table as I passed were the things collected, old pump handle and spout, rusted wired bird cage, a few jars. One would think perhaps there might be more. Old clothes of another era, tired, bruised chests of drawers, pictures of a personal liking, one would think. This passing of time, the fragments of this corporal life, like scraps left to the wondering, all that remain, so soon to dust in time forgotten, this momentary touch of the gift of life. Next one is called A Heart's Impressions. There is a place close to my heart where all my life, straight from the start, has been placed with marked impress, invoked feelings felt or expressed. No common thread runs through the lot, perhaps pain or joy, or something soft that touched a chord which called a note, beckoned forth a tear with heart and throat. Oh, it is a tender place impressed, which carries both my worst and best. Such grows my soul and binds my feet, possessed of this so bittersweet. So be it thought of humble touch to witness grace and see God's trust upon the face of humankind. These heart's impressions are truly mine. Next, I have a couple of haikus. First one, a gentle, warm breeze this night. You are on my mind. Crickets softly sing. Second one is, how quickly you grew. An old man now I ponder how soon the leaves fall. And I used to go back in the wilderness, and I, I journaled, you know, wrote my thoughts and stuff. And so these are little sketches. They're like 2 or 3 line, 3 line, 4 line poems. That's some crunching sound there in the background. Um, Poems from the wilderness. Warm winds, a last sip of summer's leisure. Shimmering dust, brilliant clouds, Eagle Creek, reflection of shimmering clouds, echoes of your voice in the shadowed stream side. When the wife of the wanderer began to sing, the mountains fell hushed. Dizzy with the joys of evening, staggered to my bed, I dreamed 1,000 dreams. Moons ago, reflected upon clear waters, dancing at the feet of the 2 sages, we lay and watched. Time, though slowly passes, is gone and remembered on gay nights around candlelight and wine. Tears fill my eyes, and my heart fills with joy. I have one more. Um, I used to go to a group in Carmel, California, and after the meeting of this particular group was finished, uh, I would walk a few blocks to a small, very quiet bar, and the bartender on the night that I was always there on Thursday night, I think it was, the bartender was the same lady each time, and her name was Carrie. Misty night in Carmel, surf sounding in the distance, a draft on my way home, a few words with you. The feeling has always remained one golden friendship upon the tide of our lives. And that's it, friends. Hello.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Max. That was
Thank you.
excellent as usual.
Oh, well,
All right. So I guess we'll go to the next part of the show. I'm going to read a poem next from Michael Lacey.
all right.
Michael is 40 years young, immortal, hailing from the crossroads of good, bad, and evil. He has 5 beautiful children that he claims to save his face and be his saving graces. His children are his loves and own his heart. And this poem is untitled. On nights like this, I like to get drunk on guitar riffs, then get into some sober rhythm with a hollow stare. I'm just born again wishing there was nobody around here, with a side effect of bitching. Sheep skating on down, standing in a street left to fight, angled up, shatter baking my cognition, characterized by something kept awake, long enough to come and get in between me and you, is a dichotomy of one going around two. If you were a dialectal thinker, you could bring the problem a solution, but you act like a diabetic drinker, a party in the madhouse of pollution, with a self-esteeming on and off of every endorphinal response. Sharpens your dialect into thought, and I feel at home when I'm with you, but I need to reacquaint with pain for the pleasure. Jagged edges of 1,000 collapses. I'll be jumping off of this house's fire because I'm burning this fucking lead. I've been riding this out into thin air. Before entering into outer space, I'm taking a missing person to bed. A Kentucky Fried Chicken headed to church, flirting with a disaster's wedge. Sounds better than being at the heart of it, running into some tiptoe therapy just to run away with it. I don't blame people for borrowed beliefs. It's my fault for judging what I can never see. When I've been pretty critical, minus the thinking of everyone with a misunderstanding inside me. And if this world is troubled water at sea, then this is a hypocrite's boat. When I'm the one sinking, this is helping you float. That was an excellent right, Michael. And next up, I'm going to have a few from Stuart Irving Marshall. And, excuse me. Stuart Irving Marshall is a compulsive Madden and Minecraft game master and connoisseur of all things cheesy, crunchy, and tasty, who also happens to be a pretty good poet and writer. Raised in Brooklyn, he grew to the great height of about 5'6" while living in Virginia and began writing suddenly out of the blue at the ripe old age of 40. Thank God he was getting really bored. All right. And Stuart's first piece is called The Very Mention of Slavery is Slavery. The very mention of slavery is slavery itself. You work multiple jobs to pay the bills you create, to pay for the foods you eat and ate, to pay to get from point A to point B, to visit places you may never get to see, to get your lady roses, $20 a bunch, get to know her better by buying her lunch. We had to evolve to this point, grow. What a job was they just didn't know. We can't blame anyone for ignorance. Retroactively, that's true. Life is hard enough. Why make humanity feel guilty and blue? Why complain about slavery, then want equity? It's like talking about Hitler. No Jews do that, you see. 100 years has gone by. It's 2021 now. I don't hear Asian Americans talking about Chairman Mao. So why talk about slavery? It's over. What's the use? You're lucky no one's suing you for mental abuse.
Mm,
All right.
that was a good one.
Yeah, powerful piece. Next up is called This Ain't Oz. This ain't Oz, and I ain't the wonderful wizard. The heat is on, and the bellboy is a lizard. Fire and brimstone is the featured band. They can light it up like no other band can. So don't you worry about room service. We're open 24 forever, so why get upset or nervous? No justice, no peace. You'll not get either ever, so get comfortable or not. We've got sunscreen if you forgot. Just lay low and be at ease. The heat's on blast so you don't freeze, and if it smells bad, here's some Febreze. I hope you bought an inhaler, 'cause one tends to wheeze. If you have any trouble, just give us a ring. We don't have very much, so you probably won't get a thing. We're not very big, and we're not snobby, and we're located in room 666, Hotel Hell Lobby.
Oh my God.
That was great. I love Stuart's mind. So wonderful. Okay. Fame. What's Your Name is the title of the next one. Bowie couldn't have sung it better. It makes a man do things in and not in his best interest. It lets him loose willy-nilly into the stress, always looking ever over his shoulder, always wondering, wandering into the void of please me with this blind me with your talent. No balance but extreme, no normalcy, no dignity, nonstop making you sweat till you bleed. Expectation above and beyond, no fondness for the plain and simple, just simply over the top till you drop days, forgotten days. Hours, tomorrows, opportunities bent at a weird angle, a weird smell, high, too high, helicopters, and overcrowded, overpacked Cessnas, and skiing too fast and driving too fast around curves in the depression, the mania and the insania, and the calm, always the calm before the storm, and that warm drink that makes you think of where you were and where you've been, and where you could have been, and where you should be all at once. Too little, too late, too much, too soon. Do you want to live forever? Rise like a flame. Do you really want to make it to heaven before your time? Light up the sky. Will they remember your name? Fame has no name, just an expiration date.
Hmm.
All right. Next up is called The Howl. The howl is wrong. The setting moon will bring apocalypse to the coming day. The cutting board cannot hold the massive ships of my ancestors, or baste it to the shore during the rising tides, for the mists are too thick to view with any clarity. The mysteries of the lost blood, homes and wrath of the plastic heart. The thunderbird flies and cackles at the raven, nevermore able to quote the arrival of the coming storm. The bullfrog's cloak is unheard, its words lost in the cries of future anger, bitterness, and doubt. Next up is called God Will Bury the Dead. Of his hand and with it, the nihilistic disbelievers and the hopes and dreams of the human unfulfilled, to begin, fail, and begin again until we finally believe, and finally find out our place in his universe, blind in our ways and eternally open to his. As we, a collective, Thanos chose to destroy humanity with the snap of a finger over a mundanity such as race, continually halved, and halved, continually until there is only a man and a woman remaining, as there was in the beginning, to begin again, the right way, or to repeat, eternally until we strike upon what's true and right for everyone, everywhere. Another powerful piece, Stuart. All right, and this last one is called Affliction. There's no discussion, no debate. You don't use your affliction as a tool of hate. You may think the Constitution makes you free, but you have to take into account morality. Killing is a sin and a crime, no matter what or who. It's not a moral choice, no matter what you do. A baby's alive when egg and seed collide. You're not God. You don't have the authority to decide who lives and who dies, because one day you'll come before him, wanting a reprieve. He'll ignore you like you ignored that child and ask you to leave. You'll be as dead to him as that child was to you. Oh well. He'll just give you a one-way Greyhound ticket straight to hell. Won't that be swell?
Hmm.
All right. And that was our last one of the night. And awesome job, everybody. Thank you all again so much for being here. I enjoyed everybody's work so much, and I hope that you can join us again soon.
Thank you.
Anybody want to say anything?
Thank you, Alicia.
Yeah, thank you, Max. Thank
Thank
you,
you for,
Lucas and Charles.
Thank you. Yeah.
thank you.
Great.
You're welcome. Glad to be a part of it.
All right. Well, everybody have a good night, and we will see you all next time.
Okie dokie.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.